I'm at Bear Lake, and as I'm walking out here, this piece of wood on the ground right here caught my attention. I came out here to make a video about something besides plasma fire. But as you can see, it's everywhere I go. This was laid on the ground, but it had the burnt side up, which makes me curious, but I can tell just by looking at it. That didn't come out of a campfire. Anyway, it was right there as I'm walking out here to the water's edge to make a video. Over there. So there might be some more out here. My point is, Bear Lake. I thought, man, how do I make a video without just making it seem like I'm gloating and trying to make them jealous? So as I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to disguise this, that's it. It's dragon time. When I went to Salt Lake County Courthouse building and circled around the outside, showing you the dragons that are hanging off every archway over every doorway, it was FanX, a Utah version of Comic-Con was going on. And so these guys that are dressed up in their Lord of the Rings outfits and all this other stuff, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. He's got a crossbow and shit. Like, hey, look at, see the dragons up there on the building? He's like, oh yeah. That's all the interest he paid. He'd rather live action role play because reality is far more mysterious. As I'm circling around the building, side note, my camera skills at the time were crap. Somehow I was under the impression the more you move the camera around, the more that people can see. Or you gotta keep it moving to keep their attention or something. Point is, if you wanna see if it's all about substance over style, which for people on this channel it is, because most of my videos are made in my 18-wheeled studio with the same scenery. So this is kind of a cool change of pace, but it's about substance over style here. And on that video, you can see the substance. I may go back and make a more clear video now that I have better camera skills and I can zoom in a little closer. But if you'd like to see the dragons hanging off of every doorway over the Utah County Courthouse, I'll include the links in the description, titled Loch Ness Mother Revelations Revealed. You know how our Loch Ness Mother has been demonized and turned into a monster? So as I'm circling the building, and I've covered I think 3 sides at this point, and showing you the dragons hanging over off the doorways, up shows Grimm ghost tours in a van. And people start piling out and they all got their EMF detectors. And the tour guide is trying to, you know, show them the eeriness or whatever, spookiness or whatever. And she starts giving an explanatory. She's pointing out some faces that are up on the building, and then she points to one that is a small, about this big around. The smallest representation of these dragons that's on the entire building is the one she chose to point out to them. And say, does anyone know what that is? And while I'm filming, I go, it's a dragon! She looks over at me like, who's this guy? It's not even part of their tour. She's like, a dragon, huh? Okay, anyone else? And I think someone else might have said, a griffin or something like that. And she said, that's the Utah Lake monster. Not all monsters look like Loch Ness, she says. And that when the early settlers came in here, there were many reports of a Loch Ness monster that people were seeing in the Salt Lake, Great Salt Lake. And she says, maybe as civilization developed around, old Nessie went away and went somewhere else. And she mentions Bear River. That there's an underground network of waterways that connect these different lakes, and she mentions Bear Lake. And so, on all 4 sides of this building, dragons are hanging off the edge, just like on a convenience store or any other place, a family homestead, a ranch. Above the archway as you drive in or over their doorway represents the business, the name of the business, what it is they sell. And over the archways all around this building of the Utah County Courthouse are these dragons, representing more than just some people had some sightings. More to the extent that they venerated these dragons. And if you saw these sculptures hanging off of ancient Aztec or Mayan buildings, you'd say, oh yeah, these were dragon worshippers or something. Far more than someone saw a sighting. It's nothing like today's version of UFOs and Bigfoot and Loch Ness, or they wouldn't have carved these effigies of these beings all over the building. It was like they revered them. Like that might be the reason they said this is the place. And the fact that Grimm Ghost Tour shows up right as I'm filming these dragons and explains that is the way that this world works in mysterious ways. And as I'm circling around, before we hit the backside, it's a two-part video. Grimm Ghost Tour shows up in the second part. I accidentally hit the stop button and I had to split it up into two videos. In one of the two videos, as I'm circling my way around the building, showing y'all the dragons, on the corner is the engraving of the Free and Accepted Masons. I don't know when they added the word accepted. 20 years ago when I first learned about the Freemasons, they didn't have the A in there. Now it's Free and Accepted Masons. And I point this out and I show, oh, it says right there, this building was dedicated in 18 whatever, cornerstone laid by whatever. And I show you that's who's running the show here. And has been for a long time, as I talked about in my last video, about how this whole country was founded by Masons. And there was a time in Mormon history when every male of age was required to join a lodge. And if you were to judge them by their fruits, you would say that Mormons are the most Christian Christians out there. Because they actually practice what they preach and live by those principles, so much so that you can spot them in a crowd. Maybe not any Mormon in any crowd, but in certain situations you can definitely point out the Mormon. Not as distinctly as the Quakers or the Amish, but you can see them by their fruits, in their behavior, in their dress, in their countenance. So there was a time in Mormon history when every male of age was required to join a lodge. So Mormons were founded by Masons. This country was founded by Masons. Yet somehow, we've all got it in our mind that they're the most evil thing, that the scourge of the earth, and if we just got rid of them all, we'd all be better off. Well, James True said most of them are gone. There might still be a couple left. One guy said in the comment section that the true lodges are being formed right now. The point about Bear Lake is I'll let you know if I see Nessie. But there is far more than legend and folklore involved in the carvings that hang off of the edges of Utah County Courthouse. It looks something more like a Gothic cathedral when you look at those carvings, and they're not just pretty pictures, as Matt likes to say. There is more than meets the eye, and more symbolic meaning, and not just symbolic, real, literal, actual, where the rubber meets the road, not mythology, just symbology. There's a reason they carved all those dragons hanging off the edge. And it ain't just something minor and insignificant. It's not first grade truther stuff. And so Marfoogle News last night, or the night before, whenever it was, in my last video I included the link to that video where he says something about Loch Ness. He was referring to the alien craft that go under the water there. He said something about Loch Ness and how it seems like some of the things that survived the last cataclysm were, the only thing that survived were those things that were in water. Again, mention the song Take Me to Church. Drain the whole sea, something shiny, Something meaty for the main course. That's a fine-looking high horse. James True, I told you before he announced it, that I could tell he's down with the dragon just by a few things he said. And then in one of his videos, he shows that one of his books is titled Tale of Six Dragons, where he goes out in the woods with these people, like these group outings, where they develop a trauma bond through these group activities, through the sweat and blood and tears that they invest in them into the group activity. And many of them have been dragons that he builds out in the middle of the jungle or whatever. And he's like, but he was planning one of these outings. And he's like, but we don't gotta build dragons. I mean, I was just on a dragon kick for a while. But Gaia is a dragon. Those were his words. So the understandings I've received about dragons have not proven true yet, but they will soon. And those who have had a chance to soften their heart and come to terms with the fact that God's not a human are going to be able to transition through this. And it makes sense that the true lodges are being formed now. Not the true lodges, the next generation of lodges maybe. Because as I said, you're now the Illuminati. You're now a very small group of people who knows a lot more about this world and the way it works than the people around us. And should we go through this reset and you're still here on the other side of it, that puts you in the position of the Illuminati. And it will be you who has to run from the witch hunts because they declare you the evil one. Starting to walk in mud here. So it kind of makes sense that this transition is happening. There's a whole new breed of first grade truthers in the last year. Thus, all of us must graduate to second grade. Matt, he even titled one of his recent videos, "A Need to Return to First Grade Once in a While." And I've said, he says he wants to keep covering first grade stuff, you know, to help the first graders through first grade, rather than graduate. And his pursuits are purely intellectual. Since I'm talking about Matt, let's just go ahead and do this. Chalk Body Outline covered Matt from Quantum of Conscience and the fact that he's been on the Alex Jones show and on Fox News. That in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean anything. Matt's pursuit is purely intellectual. He tells you we should not pay attention to the details of these things and go inward. Now, the time for that focused attention is to go inwards and not keep hunting and pecking outwards for more breadcrumbs. Yet the only thing he covers is intellectual stuff. I think he's lacking the spiritual connection that he's seeking. And I'm not sure how hard he's really seeking it, because he continues down these intellectual pursuit paths. And that might be the trap. He basically tells you that's the trap. They keep dropping these breadcrumbs to keep you focused outward, while he continues dropping breadcrumbs and focusing you outward. Vanessa VA has the spiritual side that he's looking for. And that's why he mentioned her, just about every video for a while. And I thought, it sounds like Matt's got a little truther crush on Vanessa. That's the best kind of crush to have on someone. If you've never even seen them, the only thing you could admire or be attracted to is who they are on the inside. And since Vanessa's done 3 or 4 different videos covering the content on my channel, Matt might be a little butthurt, and that might be the reason he's never going to put Plasma Fire on his channel. On his main channel. So, the fact that he mentions Vanessa so frequently means he's seen my videos. The fact that there's a channel called Truth Drops that mirrored Vanessa VA's first plasma fire video, that may be Matt. If not, it's almost certainly someone who subscribes to Matt's channel, probably heard him mention Vanessa VA, calls themselves Truth Drops, because that's one of Matt's words, that's what he talks about. Probably someone else who went over to Vanessa's channel after hearing Matt mention her so many times. My point is, Matt's well aware of the plasma fires, yet he won't present them on his channel, not on his main channel. And the consequences of choosing that will be his to bear. It's going to be a great day if you let it. It's going to be an okay day if you let it. It's going to be an awesome ride if you let it. Let it come and let it be. That song will be linked in the description along with FC Kahuna Hayling. Don't think about those things that you fear. Just be glad to be here. So to wrap it up, watch the two videos titled Loch Ness Mother Revelations revealed or confirmed or something to that effect that shows all the dragons hanging off the Salt Lake Temple, the Salt Lake County Courthouse. And just as a side note, kind of, there's a greater number per capita of Mormons in the FBI and CIA and intelligence agencies than any other group, any other demographic. Just like there's Jews are only like 2% of the population, but 50% of Wall Street. Mormons are only 2% of the population, but 50% of the FBI, CIA. It's probably why they put that NSA building in Bluffdale, Utah. Save all the guys time from having to travel, because most of the guys going to and fro are going to be from Utah, so we can put it in this state, or that state. But to reduce the amount of travel for the most amount of people, let's just go ahead and stick it right there in Utah. We are intelligence agents in this info war. We are the new crop of Illuminati. And on the other side of this, we are going to be in that position to be wearing the Fauci mask, the Kali mask, and let everyone point at you and demonize you and call you whatever they want. Join this Antichrist. Join us witches. In my own way, I wear the Fauci mask. Almost said it again. The Kali mask. Because these people are going to be led to witch hunt, and you have to get ahead of them on that curve and guide their witch hunt for them. Some of them, along the way, prior to this collective initiation, are open enough to relinquish their preconceived ideas. As Jack Johnson says, I want to take the preconceived out from underneath your feet, shake it off, and instead we'll plant some seeds. Along the way, a few people here and there might be initiated, but it's this collective initiation that it's all been building towards. The only way you really learn is through experience. And this experience is initiating us into a whole new world. We're going to know the truths. The truths will set you free, but most people don't want to know the truth. They don't want to be free. They want comfort and convenience. They want whatever's tried and true. They want to continue the rest of their life as they've led the first part of their life. And they'll get a chance to do that on the recycle.